So sad day for all you Mustang lovers. This is the GT350 exit interview. Gosh, I hate cleaning interiors. I know some of you love it, but I absolutely hate it. The good news is I really don't have to do much because I maintain the thing. So other than a little bit of dust, there's really very little I need to do. Vacuuming's done, that's about it for that. I'll come back to you in a second. All right, so your first logical question should be, why do I even care about this if I'm just trading the car in? So carpets are clean. If you haven't watched the other video that I put up a few days ago about the car change and the change with Obsessed Garage. By the way, this is next set cockpit. I spray a little on the towel and just wipe it down. But I'll talk to you a little bit more about this, but I'm simplifying my life, my car life. This is the first time I've ever owned 5 cars. It's the first time I've ever owned anything over 2 cars, or 3 cars if you count Michelle's. And so, I find that I can't focus on any of them. So anyway, this is my current state of where I'm at now. I'm not saying I won't go back to having lots of cars in the future, but as of right now, this car is one of the sacrificial lambs. And so we'll call this our GT350 exit interview as I prepare this to trade. But a little thing that I've always subscribed to is that I always clean and prepare my cars for trade-in, so that way they get traded better than they'll probably ever be cleaned again. I don't know, it just feels like the right thing to do, and also eliminates anybody looking and nitpicking over the car. Not that you could find anything on this one. This is probably the most dialed in car I've ever had. But again, that's the extent of what I need to do for the interior. I don't mess these things up, so there's no real reason to do a whole heck of a lot. I just wipe it down, so vacuum it real quickly and wipe it down, and that's about all that needs to be done. But Nextzett Cockpit Premium is my favorite by far of any kind of interior cleaner. There's no streaking. It's just good and simple. All right, so let's go work on the outside of the car since the inside's done. Gosh, videos look so much better at night out here. It's hot, really hot. And if you watched that video yesterday, I talked a lot about cars and where Obsessed Garage is headed, and if you don't have the patience to watch an hour of me talking about life and business, I fully understand. Basically what I'm doing is selling the GT350 and my Raptor and getting the new Raptor, and then I'm selling my GT3 to get a GT3 RS if I can find one at a reasonable price, and then we'll determine the S2000 here after I finish it. And so step 1 is prepare the GT350 for sale. And Weichert, so Weichert Ford, these guys are freaking cool, man. So Justin Land is my sales guy, but he's like, he reminds me of me, that sounds really wrong. It reminds me of someone that gets it, gets what it's like to be a car guy, and gets what it's like to change out cars, and so those guys, and they also understand social connectivity and social marketing, which most dealerships don't, and so I call them. They make the process so much easier for me. So I know that all you guys are going to say, well, why don't you sell the car outright? And some of you are going to be emailing me and saying, why don't you sell it to me? And then it becomes this whole process. I don't want to do that, any of that. And so these guys give me such a great price on everything that why would I waste my time and energy when I could just give the car to them and be done with it. So I'm getting 52 grand for this car. It has 6,100 miles. And again, those guys, they, you know, I think that's a fair number. I could probably sell it outright for 55, but after the 6% tax savings, it's like, why would I try to work harder than I have to? Now, this car also, and I've never done this before, I'm just gonna trade the thing with all this stuff on it. I just don't, right now it's just a really rough time. I got a lot going on, and I just don't want to do it. I don't have the energy to do it. And so the exhaust and headers are staying on this thing, plus it's kind of a pain in the rear to get them off this car, so I'm just not going to do it. I might take the, you know, I took the radar detector out, but generally I would, and this is why I always keep all my stock parts, generally I would sell the car or trade the car bone stock. I did that with my M3, I did that with my previous M3, my Carrera S. I intend to do that with my GT3. So you really don't get anything for these aftermarket parts. So you might as well just put it back together so I can sell everything. So, you know, if you guys do have a GT350, and I do have some parts that I never even put on, I'm probably going to take the gas pedal off, so I have the pedals. And the pedals will fit, they just require a little bit of extra effort that I just haven't done. I have an MGW, I have the MGW short shift kit that I never put on. I have the red line hood actuator kit that I never put on. I'm probably going to pull the jacking rails off here. I don't know, we'll see. I'm probably going to leave the intake on it. I might pull off the expansion tank here. We'll see what time it is, how long this wash is, and then, you know, whether I do it or not. So anyway, shoot me an email. Take it easy on me though, but shoot me an email if you. The way to win my heart, if you're ever wondering, if you want to buy something from me, is to make it seamless, make it simple. Hey, I'm gonna send you the money. Send me the stuff. No questions. Otherwise, I'm just gonna frickin' throw it away. So that's just a little tip if you're interested in buying anything from me. You know, if you want to buy a car from me, there's no, you know, I don't want to dance around. I don't need to dance around because I've already shared every possible detail of the car. You know, there are no secrets here. It's all out in the public. So I guess a logical question is, why am I selling this thing? I really like this car. I think it's great. It's just, you know, it's not my favorite car out of all my cars. My GT3 is. The S2000's new. Still undecided on that one. You know, and this has been fun. I've had it for, I don't know how long it's been, a year or so. And, you know, dialed it in and took it to the mountains and really enjoyed it. So, I mean, I guess your logical comment would be, well, then why don't you just keep it? There's just too many cars in my life, and I don't know, maybe I'm just not prepared for it. And so this one has to go. And it's not like, you know, it's like it hasn't done anything wrong. I don't dislike it. I still like it a lot. It's been fun to, you know, put an exhaust on it and do my normal thing with it. But, you know, it's time. It's time for me to move on and to simplify my life a little bit. And I don't know, maybe I'll end up with another one someday. I suspect this car won't be like that for me. Like, I don't think, but who knows? I mean, maybe I'll try to search out an R someday or something like that, but I don't want to say never, but I don't think I'll end up with another one. Maybe it'd be a GT500 someday or something like that, but like I said, it's been great. So, sorry to all the GT350 guys that were hoping that I would fall on the sword with some suspension solutions and things like that, but it's just, you know, it's just not in the cards. So as I was saying, you know, the relationship I now have with Weichert Ford is awesome, man. I mean, it's the relationship I wished I had with Porsche or BMW. I just don't, you know, I just don't have the same relationship. They don't take care of me. I know they're giving me a fair price on my trade-in, making the process simple. So I don't have to deal with anything. I just give them the cars and move on with my life. So anyway, let's get to the exhaust tips. Anyway, the great parts about this car that I really, really like, I mean, the flat plane V8 is fantastic. You know, it's surprisingly nimble for as heavy as it is. Obviously, it's 500 wheel horsepower, so it's super fast. The sound is great. And you know, again, I'd highly recommend this thing if you haven't had one. It's you know, it's a fantastic car. And I'll probably do a driving and explain more about the, you know, what my thoughts are, what the car's like. I'll drive it back to the garage condo where I'm going to be taking it that's where the guys are going to come pick it up from. That's another cool thing, is that, you know, Weichert's sending their guys to me to come get it, so I don't have to deal with it. That to me is worth its weight in gold these days, because they're a good couple hours away. I mean, like an hour and a half, you know, down towards Sebring. So I've, you know, set a bunch of people their way when they're, you know, looking for Fords. I mean, I think it's worth the trip if you're in Orlando or wherever. So I'm going to finish up the wheels and we'll come back and talk as I'm washing. All right, so let's recap this car. Let's recap the ownership, you know, what I did to it, what I've done with it. And then I'll kind of cue you in on what my thought process are. So first thing, you know, I like this color. I wish that I had waited, or, you know, and I know many of you are going to say I told you so, but I wish that I had gotten the Avalanche. You know, I'd probably be a lot more in love with it if I'd gotten the Avalanche color. I think it just looks cooler. It's just really unique. And then, you know, black and metallic, black in this color, black wheels, and this color don't pop quite as much as Avalanche does. This is just Adam's car soap, just like normal. So anyway, I got the car. I asked them not to touch it. So Weichert honored my wishes. It was dirty as can be, right off the truck. And I brought it home and I spent, what was it, 10 days? It was well over a week of just totally dialing it in to my spec. You know, and we did the ammo system. So I did a single stage correction with Sonax Perfect Finish, right? Didn't need to compound the car because the paint looked great. So we did that single stage correction, single step correction. So, you know, as normal, decontaminated it, which included, you know, getting the iron off the paint. So I washed it, or strip washed it, decontaminate it with a clay bar, and then the iron out solution, and then we ended up polishing it with Sonax Perfect Finish. Did you make that? That's cool. I'm gonna turn the camera toward us so we can see it, so everybody can see it. I'm scared of that. No. Ah, what is that?
Someone else.
What did you make?
What's this?
What is this?
Look how good she's good at coloring, Daddy.
Whoa. What else did you make?
Cookies. This is her C she painted. Oh, good catch.
That's a C or a U? That's a cookies?
You'll love this one. What's that, Daddy?
That's a car? Oh no, Mama.
Uh-oh.
Ruined.
Nope, it's fine. It's fine. I'll dry it off.
It's okay.
All her C words.
You
Car
drew that?
with
Good.
dot art and caterpillar. This is her new one.
Whoa, you got googly eyes on it? That's cool. So then I proceeded to, after decontaminating and correcting, then we put multiple layers of the ammo system. So I did, I don't remember, did I do 1 coat or 2 coat of reflex? I can't remember. But anyway, we put reflex, Larry's reflex coating, just held up great. Ended up doing 1 coat of skin, 1 coat of ammo cream, which is the carnauba. And then remember I had the contamination issues because of the parking lot. So I had to decon the thing a few times. And so that's what's been on the car. And then I generally protected it or topped it with ammo reflex, or I'm sorry, ammo hydrate. So that was the, sort of the maintenance drying aid that's been on this car. It's held up great. I mean, I can't remember when I bought the thing. You guys can go back and look. But it's done a good job. It's held up okay. It looks great, and it's a solid system. I still think I prefer Colonite and Jescar to it. This tends to grab contaminants more, I found. So the skin, certainly the cream, tend to be more prone to contamination or things in the paint. And that could largely be a Florida issue, and that we have lots of bugs and stuff here that don't have to deal with in other places. But it's good. The ammo mud has been exclusively on the tires. I think it rivals Carpo Pearl, and I don't think there really isn't much of a difference between the two. I like the application of Pearl a little better because mud tends to get a little watery after you've gotten to the third wheel. But the product in general has been great. So then after that I started modifying it, so I chased down looking for an exhaust, settled on American Racing headers. So this thing has, and if you watch the video, it has, I started with doing just doing the resonator delete, which I don't know how anybody could like that. It sounds freaking terrible. So to those of you guys who like it, I guess you've just never had an exhaust before, because I think that sounds god awful. It's all raspy and ugh, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. So then I immediately needed to go and figure out a solution 5 minutes after I did it. So the stock exhaust isn't bad, but the American Racing Headers exhaust is way better than stock. Gets rid of all the disorganization that I don't like. And so, and exhaust, so before you get all bent out of shape and start yelling at the computer, exhausts are completely subjective. So, don't develop your self-worth from having, having the proper exhaust note. It's just you either like it or you don't, and I don't. I don't like the stock exhaust note as much. But it's cool because most people who have never modified cars or haven't dealt with putting aftermarket exhausts on, this is probably the best factory exhaust of any car ever. So, it's good. But the American Racing Headers exhaust, the long tube headers, and full exhaust system, this is a catted system, which, by the way, that's staying on the car. I'm not taking it off. It's not worth the $2,000 that I would get for selling it, and the pain I'd have to go through to get it back on. So I'm just not going to do that. So whoever gets this car is getting an awesome exhaust, fully legal. The cats are still there. Doesn't drone. So there's no need for valve operation. And so it doesn't have valves and has a really clever valve delete system. So you don't have to worry about any check engine lights or anything. I think valves on this car are completely unnecessary. And all he did was annoy me, and I had to open them up every time I turned the car on. So once the headers and exhausts were done, I did the intake at the same time. The JLT intake was cool. I'm actually really surprised that I liked the fake carbon fiber, the hydrocarbon. It actually looks really good. It's held up great, looks great. So I would highly recommend it. Intake doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot on this car. The only thing you can hear is a little bit more of a squeak from the throttle body's opening, or the throttle body opening, I should say. Other than that, it's pretty much a non-event. It just has a slightly larger diameter piping. And then you need the tune, which I needed for the headers anyway. You need the tune for the exhaust, for the headers and the intake, that combination. And so that's why I did the Lund tune. I would recommend, I wouldn't do it again, and if I was going to keep the car, what I would be doing next would be going to get a custom tune. It just, you know, the cold start is brutal. It's just really herky-jerky. It takes, you know, 2 or 3 minutes to warm up, and then it's fine. But there's probably more power to be made combined with a really rough cold start or cold driving. And so I would recommend you go spend the time and go find someone who custom tunes these and have that done. That's one thing I would do. I did the pedals. You know, the pedals don't bolt right up like others. So the gas pedal and clutch pedal upgrade. So you do the clutch spring upgrade, which is a no-brainer. You absolutely should do that. It takes 10 minutes to change it. So there shouldn't be any reason why you wouldn't do that. The operation of the clutch is really odd on this car from factory. And then I did the larger gas pedal, which is really cool. Help, you know, so I did the Garage, I don't remember what the company is, but Garage something or other gas pedal extension, the SCT, I think. SCP Performance, well, I don't know what the heck it was freaking called. I'm not good with these American companies. But anyway, their pedals, and you know, they were okay, I guess. And then I added the expansion tank. You know, all of this I did right around the same time, so forgive my timelines here. But the next step on this car was going to be to do suspension and wheels, lower the car, which was just going to be springs, I think. You know, no one's really come out with a coilover system yet. Plus, this has a Magna ride, so you know, it rides really well. So I would have stayed with a basic, you know, factory setup. Just lowered it a little bit. And then I was going to do Clausen MSO3s on this, which of course I didn't end up doing. I have a hard and fast rule that you never do wheels. You never do aftermarket wheels unless you're going to do suspension first. Golden rule number 1 of modifying cars. At least in the Matt Mormon handbook anyway. Oh, and I forgot about, you know, the stripe removal. I would strongly urge anybody who's looking at one of these cars that if it has black stripes, you're going to hate life if you care about swirl marks. So either get white stripes or don't get them at all. Otherwise, they're going to look jacked up. So I had the Redenso XP on this car. I don't like that radar detector. You know, unless it has auto GPS lockout, I'm not really interested. Such a pain in the butt. You hit mute and the thing doesn't mute. So maybe it just needs a software update, but anyway, I still prefer the Escort. I need to get the Passport Max 360 and try that thing out. So our one hope with this thing is Hyde's rust serum, because these rotors are, especially as humid as it is right now in Florida, it's rust crazy. So I always do this post rinse, pre-drying, you know, drying with the leaf blower. So that way I blow off any excess that kind of gets on the wheel. But I've never had an issue with any staining or issues on the wheels with this stuff. I don't have this yet. The place to get this is a detailer's domain when he has it. You know, it's usually hard to get, but he generally has it, you know, half the time. So I'm going to blow the car off and then come back to you in a few. So let's finish drying this off with some ammo hydrate. And so as I've said, I don't, who knows if I'll ever be back in another GT350. I guess, you know, in an ultimate garage, you know, if I'm headed where I hope I'm heading, I'll have a bunch of people working with me, working for me, and you know, maybe then I'll have more cars and have people help me take care of them. You know, that to me would make sense than to have more. But you know, the lesson learned in this whole process is I'm slowing my roll here a little bit with the amount of cars that I have. And you know, especially, you know, and I'm sure a lot of you can identify this as tightly as I'm wound to just neglect the car. Like Michelle's car has been so neglected. It's more stress than it's worth to me. So at least that's my current assessment, which whenever the next shiny car that shows up, I'm sure I'll probably start to forget these comments. So you guys will have to remind me of that. I won't hear it, so it would probably be a waste of time to even remind me of it. But I'm sure many of you can relate to that this same sentiment. Dang, this thing looks good. So I'm excited to hopefully get a GT3 RS. I just have to be patient. You know, I almost want to just go pay massively over sticker, but I'm just going to be patient. And if I can't get an RS, I'm going to get a 991.2 GT3. The other thing you guys are probably going to see me start to do is I'm going to start wrapping the cars, because if I intend to keep taking them to the mountains. Another thing that I didn't mention in my last takeover video is that I'm intending to build an obsessed garage destination in the mountains, in the Carolina mountains. And so that means I'll be in the mountains more often. That destination is going to involve having Porsches at that facility. Actually, it won't be a facility, it'll be homes. You know, one of my big rubs with the mountains is that every single house looks like exactly the same, the stupid, hideous wood that everybody seems to have this desire to have in the mountains. Well, what I don't want any goofy wood. I just want a super comfortable couch and a big old TV and a decent home theater system. You know, not to the level of I have here, but have every house have that same prerequisite. Nice, comfy couch, decent TV, awesome garage with all the gear that I have in the garage so people can use it, experience it, and then also most likely have you know, whatever. I'll probably end up doing like Cayman S's at this place, and then with the option to rent a GT3 as well. And so I'm going to do it very differently than, well, it doesn't exist. So it's something that I'm toying with the idea of doing. I don't know, lots of people talk about car facilities and co-op rentals and all that stuff, but if I decide to do it, I'll actually do it. And it goes back to that same thesis that if it's something that I really want to do, my gamble is that there are other people that share that same desire. And so it would probably be something like, I haven't decided whether it would be ownership based, you know, where it was co-owned by, or I'd sell the properties, or I would simply rent them. But think about this. Imagine this. You had a place, and sorry to you young guys, but it would probably be a prerequisite of being, say, like 35 or older or something like that, unless I knew you personally. And so the thesis behind it would be that you rent the house for, say, $5,000 or $6,000 for the week. You get a GT3. You get the GT3 for the whole week. So it's much like the experience of, when I go up to the mountains. There are tons of other guys who would like to come, but to ship their car all the way across the country just isn't feasible. So if you could come and rent the car, but the main driver behind this place would be, just imagine, you go on vacation, so let's pretend that you're like me and you're a miserable human being when you're not doing, when you're not going nonstop, right? So you're at the beach with the family, and some of you guys are just great people. I'm a miserable human being, I think, but I can't sit still. And so imagine that you're at a place where the family goes, I don't I wouldn't do anything goofy like go-kart tracks and amusement parks and things like that. It would just simply be a really nice house, not anything crazy, but a nice house with, again, nice couch, nice TV. You get to go out and drive around in the mountains, bring the whole family or just you. But here's the key. There are 45 or 50 other houses that are all rented by people just like you. And so anytime you come on vacation, you know, the wives and kids can hang out. The guys can go driving together. And my guess is you'll end up developing friendships for life with people that you come to the facility like this, and you come every year. Because you get to drive a frickin' whatever latest generation of whatever GT car, or even if it's just like a Cayman GTS or something cool, but you have a great driving experience as well.
Today's A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan podcast is brought to you by Bart.
I always have to do that because of the rust. Luckily I got to it before it got too rusty. So that's something else I'm working on, thinking about. Let's do the windows. I'll do the door jambs. And this sucker's ready to give back. You know what's so cool about Obsessed Garage? You know, you think about this in your life, that, man, don't you wish you had, like imagine you're a car dealer. Don't you wish everyone was like you? You know, I think about this all the time. Man, if everybody was like me and turned their cars in like this, it would be such a great, you'd have such a great business if you had customers or clients that, you know, cared for their stuff. You didn't have to play this goofy game where there's problems all the time. And, you know, there's no like negotiation and all this stuff that has to happen because everybody's in the know that no one's getting taken advantage of, so there's no real deals that you really have to worry about. So just imagine that. Well, that's what Obsessed Garage is to me. How cool is that? It's very rare that someone buys something from the Obsessed Garage store that's freaking annoying. And the ones that are annoying, I just hope they get lost. But I would encourage, you know, if you've never bought and sold cars, and I know that, you know, many people, I talk about this on the podcast, that have a get mine mentality. You'll get what you're owed if you do what's right, I think. And so we already agreed on the price for the car, but once they see this thing, there will be no question. By the way, they're giving me 52 grand for it. If I didn't mention that already. Which seems fair. You know, I paid just over 60,000 bucks for it. Got to drive it for a year. Made a bunch of videos with it. Certainly, my guess is this car made me a lot more than what it's costing me to own it for a year. So, math works for me. All right, car's done. I'm gonna go get some lunch. And then I'll probably take this over to the garage facility. I gotta load up all these parts, put in the trunk, take over there so that the guys can come get it. I'm gonna put ammo mud on the tires and be done, and I'm done with it. All right, I got motivated before I go drive this thing back over to the garage. I took the jacking rails off. I have all new hardware for it. I took the clutch spring out, the steered full clutch spring assembly. I've also got the pedals. They took the gas pedal off, and what the heck are these things called? Let me look at the company. SRP Racing pedals. These were what, 154 bucks for the pedals. So I have those basically brand new. I mean, the gas pedal was used, but you know, it's mine, so it's super clean. So I have the 3 pedals and the dead pedal. You just, again, I never got halfway through. I never got them completely done. This one here has parts where I put the screw in, so you'll have to overcome that. But they're, you know, relatively new. I figured I'd take all this stuff off and sell it rather than just leaving it in the car. I have the, I think it's Garage, something or other, Garage Land. Gosh, I can't, Garage Line. So this is the pedal spacer. I got the Granatelli expansion tank. That thing's super expensive. I think it was a couple $100. I've got your clutch or your brake master cylinder cover from JLT. The JLT rock blockers. I've got the JLT. This is the passenger side oil catch can or overfix, whatever that thing's called, overflow tank. And then I have the hydrocarbon cover. I left the intake on because the tune is set up for the intake and the headers and exhaust. So that I left that on there. So if any of you guys want this stuff, just shoot me an email, matt@obsessedgarage.com. You know, no big deal. I'll sell it to you and we'll get it shipped out. All right, I forgot. I've got Redenso XP with the blend mount, the newest blend mount for GT350. I think it'll probably also fit a Mustang as well. I've got the MGW shifter, short shift kit. And then I've got, I forget this company, the tow hook, but this is the plate that mounts up under the front bumper. You don't have to remove the front bumper to put this on, so it mounts from underneath. You remove a piece of plastic and then it bolts in. And then I have the, I never even opened the darn thing. These are the red line hood actuators, these things. Anyway, hit me up, matt@obsessedgarage.com if you want any of this stuff. I don't know the prices, but I'm not giving it away for free, but I'll sell it all. So anyway, just thought I'd share that. All right, so I never did what I planned on doing, which was to do a final sort of assessment of the driving experience of the GT350, and so I'll just mention a couple of things. You know, every time Ryan and I were driving in the car, he'd always ask me, man, is your head hitting the ceiling? So one of the main characteristics of the GT350 that's a bit odd is the driving position is really weird. You sit so tall, but the interesting thing is maybe a minute and a half after he'd asked me that, I'd completely forget that. So I guess it was largely a non-issue. But that was the one rub of the car. I mean, the interior was really great. I mean, for as inexpensive as I'm sure most of the plastics and parts are in the car, it doesn't turn me off like Dodge's interiors, like most Dodges, like a Hellcat or something like that. It's just interior is really bad, or even like a Corvette. It's just not good enough for me. Something about those interiors, like I sit inside of them, it turns me off. The GT350 there's nothing impressive in it at all. But for whatever reason, the way it's laid out, the design of it, the Ford Sync 3 is really good. The 2017 and 18 GT350s are a huge audio improvement over the 2016, and then I guess the really short 15Rs that they made a few of. The interior has been great. The shifter feel, what I started to notice as I got a few more miles on the car, the Tremec, the transmission started to get really notchy. I'd find myself, you know, popping out of first gear as I didn't engage it all the way. So I'm sure the MGW would have taken care of all of that slop that started to develop. So when the transmission was brand spanking new, it was spot on. But I could already start to notice some wear, and you know, a lot of that probably has to do with the NVH issues, the noise, vibration, and I guess. Noise, vibration, harshness is what NVH stands for. So that becomes a problem with any kind of flat plane crank because of the lack of counterweight on the crank. So you get a vibration, a resonance through the entire chassis, which they've done such a great job of minimizing, but it's still there. You can feel it the most through the transmission. So anyway, the car is, I mean, and it just pulls and pulls and keeps revving and revving. I should have gone out and finished the video, but I've been working so diligently on this deal. I found an RS with 700 miles. I found it at a very reasonable price, I think, and reasonable in comparison to everything else out there. It's in darn near identical spec to mine, so I've been battling with that to try to get that deal done. And then the guys came from Weicker to come all the way up here to get the car, and so I never got to do what I normally like to do, which is to do a driving video at the end. So I'm sorry about that, but it's gone. So Anyway, the car's gone. I'm almost certain you're going to be seeing insane videos on the GT3 RS, especially from the detailing perspective. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I'm flying to Cincinnati. I'm going to drive the car. I'm going to go tape the car up. So I have to ship my GT3 up and then pick up the GT3 RS. I'm going to tape the whole thing up, driving roughly 100 miles to Columbus to Esoteric. I'm going to spend the week there, and we're going to completely dial in the car. I'm probably going to leave it for another week, and so this thing is going to be insane. You know, we're going to wrap the thing in either Steck or I forget what it's, Suntech, one of the Suntech's clearest films. You guys, I hate films, but we're also going to probably be talking to Clearplex. It's going to be all kamikaze'd out. The thing is going to be insane. We're going to do some stuff to this thing. It's just going to be incredible. And the videos are going to be fantastic. So keep an eye out for that. I'll be making an announcement. I'm hoping if I can get the car shipped there, get there in time, that Esoteric has Cars and Coffee on Saturday, that I'll be there, so we can hopefully have people from the area come and we can do a meetup in Columbus. There, Esoteric's outside of New Albany. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of the GT350. I know it was a short-lived or short life, but thanks to all of you that I've met. I'm so glad that I got that car because I've met so many great people, other people with like-mindedness that buy the car that the GT350 is. And I'm sorry to disappoint you all that have the car, but I think the S2000 is probably going to end up leaving too. The RS has been my life's pursuit. I have an opportunity to get it, and so I'm going to do it. And I don't want to float. The RS is it's going to be roughly $100,000 more than what my GT3 ends up getting, and so that's the part that I just don't want to be irresponsible here. I could probably make sacrifices and make it happen, but I just don't want to do it. So the GT350 goes. My Ford Raptor, I've got something cool I'm cooking up. I think I got Michelle set on this, but I think what I might do is trade the Tahoe and keep the Raptor, give her my V8 Raptor, put some monitors in the headrest for the kids, put a bed cover over top of it so she can use it just like an SUV, and we never put other people in the back seat anyway, and just our kids, and so we might do that. So I'll drive the new Raptor, she'll drive the old Raptor, so that would be pretty freaking cool to have Michelle driving around town in a a V8 Raptor, especially mine's all modified and looks sweet. And that 6.2 liter V8 is so reliable. I've got 40,000 miles on the thing, 44,000 miles on it, so I might just keep it. Anyway, thank you so much for being a part of this. Sorry I didn't do the wrap-up video that I intended to do. Stay tuned for lots of GT3, so if you guys are Porsche guys, I mean, even if you're not, I don't see how you couldn't be interested in an RS. It's so freaking cool. So maybe that's my own naive idea of what people think about RSs, but anyway, I'm going to get that car. I'm almost certain I've got the credits approved, credits lined up. I don't want to come out of pocket for that. I want to keep my cash, and so I'll just pay for it out of cash flow from an Obsessed Garage. The business will own the car. I was going to lease it. Maybe I'll tell the story of that and what I was thinking about doing there and why I was considering doing that versus just buying the car. So anyway, thanks for watching this, and stay tuned for it's gonna get crazy. Thanks for watching. So what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.